Hello, everybody. Unfortunately, I am having some technical issues with my desktop, so I am trying to get it together. But I appreciate everybody coming to the show. As always, I'm trying to get everything in order, and it just happened right before I was about to go live, and how unlucky for me. So anyway, we still have some good topics ahead of us. Um, I still got to get the main thing up, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't appreciate low quality. So we are getting everything together, but as we get everything situated, I just want to welcome everybody as usual to the show. And so we have some good topics as usual. And so let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and talk about some of the things that we have on the schedule today. So first, we are going to discuss the NCAA college football playoffs. We're going to talk about the semifinals. Then we're also going to get into the finals. As of course, the semifinals was last week with Alabama and Auburn. Alabama, Auburn. That's the Iron Bowl. Alabama and Notre Dame, who won 4 matchup. And then we also had the 2 versus 3 matchup, which was Clemson and Ohio State. So we're going to go ahead and discuss those things. And then we are also going to talk about the NBA season. So far as it's going along very well, things are still going fine. The COVID numbers have been an issue a little bit lately for some players, but not to the point where they had to, postpone games and things of that nature. They didn't have to go that far, but excuse me, guys. Let me type in my stuff. So anyway, yeah, they have it to where the season's still going on, no postponing the game. Some of the players are just, still going on. Hi, how you doing? How you doing? Welcome to the show. I appreciate you coming. And so yeah, it's going very well. It's going very, very interesting right now for the NBA season. So, we appreciate that going on. And so also we have the NFL playoffs. The NFL playoffs starts soon. So we're going to go ahead and discuss that. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and hit you guys with the intro music one more time. And I think I have my computer ready. So I will be back in maybe 30 seconds. All right, guys? So stay tuned. One second. All right, so we are officially together now. Everything is good. That's the joys of having, 2 computers. You got one that can back you up when things like this happen. So it all works itself out. So like I said in the intro, we have our great topics, and so we are going to just dive right in them because I'm already behind. So we are just going to go ahead and dive into it. So last week was the semifinals for the NCAA football playoffs. It was a very, very good 2 games. Well, kind of in the sense if you're a Ohio State and an Alabama fan, but if you're a Clemson and Notre Dame fan, you did not want to watch that game. at all because it was two very big blowouts. So let's get into the Rose Bowl game that came on first, which was the Alabama Crimson Tide versus Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And look, it was a blowout. It was a bad game from the jump, and I seen this coming the whole way. In my last show from the first New Year's, I said it was going to be a tough game for Notre Dame because they play very well in regular season conference games, but when they have to play to some big boy schools like Alabama, for some reason they cannot deliver. And it was no different this year than like any other year. So look, Alabama went to win the game 31-14. And look, Notre Dame did not look competitive at all. And it looked like Alabama was the better team. So look, Notre Dame, they was very pass heavy. Ian Book, their starting quarterback who just declared for the NFL draft this coming up year, had a rough game. He had 27 completions for 39 attempts, 229 yards, no touchdown, and 1 interception. And then they couldn't get much going on in a run game. Ian Book did have a running touchdown, so that was, even though he didn't throw the ball as well as he should, he did run for a touchdown. I mean, look, that Alabama defense is top notch. Each and every year, they find players to just come play on their team. They lose players, they bring back more players, and they just look unstoppable at times, which is very crazy. But we've come to expect this from Alabama. We knew Alabama coming in this year was going to be a strong team, and look, they are right now. So let's go ahead and look at Alabama's stats. Mac Jones, their quarterback from Alabama, had an amazing game, an absolutely amazing game, with 25 completions for 30 attempts, 297 yards, and 4 touchdown passes. You cannot draw that up any better for a national college semifinals game. You want that type of performance out of your star players, and Mac Jones is becoming that star player. He came out the woodworks basically this year because last year, he was getting his feet wet a little bit, but this year he was Coach Saban was like, "Look, you're the man. Go ahead and lead the team," and he has done that this year. And also Najee Harris had 15 carries for 125 running yards. Did not have a touchdown, but I mean, anytime you are able to get 125 yards and set your team up to score, I'm pretty sure he's more than okay with that type of performance. So look, I mean, I think everybody expected this in the sports world for Alabama to go ahead and handle their business, and so they did. So Alabama is good to go. Alabama is waiting and ready to perform for it's ready to perform it and do a really good job. So what's up, Slim? What's going on, Slim? How you been, man? Y'all give me a taco, okay. What's up, Shanghai? How you feeling, man? I'm glad you guys all came to the stream as usual. You guys are glowing supporters, and I appreciate it. So yeah, Alabama looked way competitive. It was a good game, and so Alabama, we all know this was coming. Notre Dame has to figure it out. They had to find a way to get over that hump. They're just so close. They can feel it right in the grasp. It's just like, for some reason, when they get to these large schools, these very strong SEC schools, these Big 10 schools, Big 12 schools, they just cannot for the life of them win. And just the fact that they made it to the to the national championship semifinals after losing to Clemson very badly in the ACC championship game. You can kind of tell Notre Dame was like, look, it's kind of hard to see how they belong in the semifinals, but look, they did, and we can't look past that. But unfortunately, they ran into a great Alabama team, so that's basically the end of that. So let's continue on to the next game, which was the Sugar Bowl. And that was the contest between Ohio State Buckeyes and the Clemson Tigers. And so it was. Now, to be honest, I thought this was going to be a little bit more competitive. I thought Clemson, Ohio State would have a gladiator battle, and whoever comes down, whoever had the last possession of the game will possibly win that game. It was none of that. It was none of that. It was a blowout. And I'm 100% surprised that this was a blowout like it was. So Ohio State was able to win 49-28. And it looked at times Ohio State was just dominating the Clemson. The offense of Ohio State was just dominating the Clemson Tigers defense. And it was embarrassing at times. It was so embarrassing. And to a Clemson Tigers team who we known to have very strong defenses, did not play up to standard this year. It was not a good look for Clemson. So let's go ahead and look at the stats. So Justin Fields, who's supposed to be a top quarterback coming out of college football, who's I'm pretty sure is going to declare for the draft after the season is over with. Justin Fields had 22 completions for 28 attempts, 385 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And Justin Fields was just shredding the Clemson defense. He was throwing deep passes. He was, gambling, trying to throw like a tight needle to some of their receivers, and he was completing these passes. I mean, he went 22 for 28. That's an excellent stat line. So Justin Fields, this really looked like Justin Fields was, ready for that primetime game after a tough game he had in the Big Ten title game against Northwestern. So look, that really moved him up definitely as one of the top quarterbacks that's about to be in the NFL draft next year. So let's also look at Trey Sermon, the running back out of Ohio State. He had 31 carries, 193 yards, and 1 touchdown. And that is very great for a running back to even crack 100 yards. But when you get close to 200, that is crazy. That is absolutely crazy. So you have to give credit to Ohio State. That was such a big game for them, and you really have to give them their credit, because I didn't think that they would do this against the Clemson's defense. And so it was a good game for them. It was a very good game for them. And so let's go ahead and look at Clemson's stats. So Trevor Lawrence, who's basically going to be the number 1 pick of the NFL draft. I mean, he's already declared. It's basically set in stone. He's going to be the number 1 pick. I mean, it would be surprising to me if he's not the number 1 pick next year. So Trevor Lawrence, let's look at his stat line. He had 33 completions for 48 yards, 400 yards, which is very good, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. But, other than Trevor Lawrence, the team really didn't help him out at all. Neither the defense or the running game did not help him at all. You can kind of tell for them to you can kind of tell with Trevor Lawrence throwing the ball 48 times. That's a lot for a game. So Travis Etienne, one of the top running backs in the NCAA draft. I'm pretty sure he's going to go pro pretty soon. Had 10 carries for 32 yards and 1 touchdown. And basically that 1 touchdown was in the beginning of the game, and it was a little short yardage situation. But other than that, Ohio State's defense bottled up one of the top running backs in the NBA. So, or NBA, excuse me, the NCAA. So yeah, it was crazy. Oh, thanks, Patrick. I appreciate that, man. I feel good. You know what I'm saying? The lights looking nice and everything looks good, man. I appreciate it. But yeah, so you know, it was a surprise. I know I sound like a broken record, but it was a big surprise to see Clemson get beat up like that. And of course, Clemson next year is going to, you know, run it back. They're still going to be a great team, you know, with DJ Uiagalelei, and I'm always going to butcher his name. I just feel it in my soul, but you know, he's going to come in as the top quarterback for Clemson. They're just going to, you know, they had another good recruiting class. They're just going to, you know, they're just going to run it back. They're still going to be a strong team. So, you know, they're going to be all right. They're going to be okay. So let's go ahead and look forward to the college football championship that's happening on Monday. And so Ohio State and Alabama. Look, I'm going to have to go ahead and give my prediction right now. And look, I don't see anybody beating Alabama this year. I just don't. And the reason why I say that is because Alabama just, all 3 phases of that team is so good. And I forgot to mention, excuse me, to mention the Heisman Trophy winner, Devontae Smith from Alabama had a big game against Notre Dame. And I don't see nobody stopping him Monday against Ohio State. He's one of the best receivers. No, I mean, well, obviously he's the best player in college football. He's an excellent route runner. He's fast. He just looks like a stud. He looks like a stud that's going to get his money in the NFL as usual again. And so, look, I just see Alabama, all 3 phases of that team is just so strong. It's just so strong. And it's just like you can try to beat them in one way, but like they're going to find a way to win the game. Like you can stop their offense, but then their defense plays well and creates turnovers and does what they need to do. Special teams can score any time they want. And then, you know, if the defense not playing well, the offense is going to put up points. It's just like hard to figure out Alabama. And they're just such a strong team, man. It's impossible to stop them. I'm just being straightforward with you guys. I think Alabama's going to win. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I think it's going to be a touchdown game. I think it's going to be like a 24-17 type of game. It's going to be low scoring. Both defenses are going to play very well. But I see Alabama winning that game 24-17. And look, Nick Saban adds some more hardware to his illustrious Hall of Fame career. And so, you know, Alabama is Alabama, and they're the best team in college football. So I'm going to go ahead and take a break right now. And so we have the highlights of the Clemson Ohio State game. Like I said, Justin Fields had a great game, and you're going to go ahead and see it firsthand for yourself. So it's going to be a short highlight. I'll probably be back in five minutes, and we'll go ahead and transition into the NBA basketball season. So I hope you enjoy the highlights.
In this department, allowing only 34% this year. They bring pressure. And Lawrence off the back foot, lobs it downfield, and the catch is made by Cornell Powell.
He's one-on-one against Seven Banks. He's in phase, really good coverage, does a good job adjusting back to the ball. Seven Banks never really saw the ball, which allowed Powell with a slight push there.
Used to fill in the secondary. On second and goal, Lawrence keeps it, tries to get the edge, chased by Browning, dive, touchdown Tigers.
Trevor Lawrence, you see this a lot from this offense. You got to respect ETN in the middle, and then it's a foot race. Browning trying to get out there, Cooper trying to get out there, Amari Rogers.
Now he's got the ball again, running left, serving in the clear, foot race, touchdown Ohio State. Buckeyes answer quickly. And just waltzes in. Travis Etienne finds the end zone, and the Tigers are back on. Fields from the pocket, fires to the end zone, into traffic, caught for a touchdown by Luke Farrell. Didn't have a catch the last.
People, how good he is.
Got to be careful with that mindset, though, don't you? Drops back, there's a man wide open. It's Rucker. 2 touchdowns for the Buckeyes tight ends.
Here they come. Oh, dropped out.
3rd and 13. Fields does have time, and now takes off, makes a cut, takes a hard hit by Skalski, who knocks him down 2 yards short, and Fields is still down.
After further review, number 47 was confirmed for targeting. The penalty will be half the distance to the goal and an automatic first down. Number 47 is disqualified.
This is crucial now as the Buckeyes try to stretch this 7-point lead. Fields on the run, launches for the end zone, coming back, caught for a touchdown by Olave.
He spread it around, 15 completions, 7 different receivers. Makes it tough on the defense.
From the pocket, a strike across the middle, caught, touchdown, Rucker again. What a huge night for the tight ends. And for ninth play of the drive, Lawrence flips it into flat. Powell stretches for the pylon, touchdown, and the Tigers begin to chip away. Powell beating Sean Wade a couple times on that drive. 4-man rush, Fields has time, launches downfield, it's Olave, he's got a touchdown, Ohio State! He's closed, they got 14 minutes to protect this lead, looking to add to it, Fields down the field, caught for a touchdown! Jamison Williams. And Etienne going, Amari Rogers has been bottled up by this Buckeye defense. And Lawrence under pressure again, delivers a strike. Powell breaks free. Powell knifing down and scoring. So they convert 3rd and 16 into a touchdown to keep some hope alive here. Very few Ohio State fans able to witness this. Get about half of the 3,000 tickets. Everyone here tonight on their side will savor this memory forever, as will the players.
So that was the Ohio State Clemson game that took place last week. Unfortunately, I am having some more technical difficulties, and I am getting my computer set right back up right now. So that was a good game. Justin Fields showed why he was one of the top quarterbacks in the NCAA. As you can see, his arm is absolutely crazy, and so you really have to admire what he did for his team, especially getting hurt. As you can see in his last one of the hits, he okay. So let me go ahead. Oh, we are back. So again, you can kind of tell why he is one of the top quarterbacks. His arm is amazing. He's strong in the pocket, great pocket awareness, and so yeah, you can tell he's going to be a top quarterback. So let's go ahead and move on into the NBA. So let's go ahead and do that. So the NBA is moving forward. Like I said, it hasn't been too many games postponed. From the top of my head, I only think one Houston Rocket game was postponed. But other than that, it has been some tests that has been positive, but it's been players just had to, sit out a week but they haven't postponed like many games, which is very good. And the NBA is very good at taking precaution. Adam Silver is probably the best commissioner out of all of North America major sports. I'm just going to just say it off the top. I think he's the best commissioner in North American sports. And so you have to give Adam Silver a big pat on the back for what he is doing for the NBA. But let's go ahead and talk about some of the teams that are making big moves. And so let's go ahead and start in the Eastern Conference. Now, the Eastern Conference is very, very different this year, I to say the least, guys. So let's go ahead and look at some of the teams. So the Philadelphia 76ers are maintaining that the first place lead. They did lose to the Brooklyn Nets last night. Pretty big loss for the 76ers, but they're still at the top. You can't really complain about what they're doing this season. Now, they're a different team home and away. Like when they go on the road, they look like an average team. But at home, they look like a very strong team. So we're going to have to figure out how Philadelphia works because they're 5-0 at home. They're undefeated at home, but they're 2-2 away record, which is like, you guys have to figure this one out. You can't be a competitive team losing away games. You just can't do that. And so let's go ahead and move on. The Magic and the Pacers are both tied for second place. Now, the Magic, they took a big loss with Markelle Fultz tearing his ACL, and now he's out for the season. And so that's going to be a big loss for them. So now it's time for rookie Cole Anthony to step up, Evan Fournier, Nikola Vucevic, who's always a strong double-double guy. They have to step their game up. They have to step their game up and really, play hard. They have to play harder now that Markelle Fultz is hurt. And Markelle Fultz, was just had a big contract signed too with the Orlando Magic, and this happened to happen, which really sucks. And I hope that he can come back stronger and fulfill, that contract. And he wants to let the world know that he's worth the money because Philadelphia just basically gave him up for nothing. And now that he's proven himself to be a pretty good basketball player, hopefully he can come back from this injury and really do well. Really do well. So, and then we have the Pacers. The Pacers are beneficiaries of a healthy team because that's what's really hurt them in the past, especially last season. But they was able to manage to, stay a competitive team. But now that they're fully, they're all at full health, very strong right now. They're playing very well. They're playing very well. I think they can keep this up. I hope they do for the sake of Pacers fans because they love basketball out there. So the Pacers are doing what they have to do, and they are playing very well. And so let's continue on to the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics are currently fourth right now, and I see them moving up. They're going to be a top team in the Eastern Conference. I think they'll end up probably around 2 or 3, staying competitive in that area as the season goes along. We're going to have to see what the Pacers do, but I can see the Pacers moving up from their fourth position up to the third or second seed. And then a shocker, and we're talking about a big shocker team here. The New York Knicks. Who would have thunk it, right? The New York Knicks right now have a 5-3 record, and I think it's a surprise to everybody because New York has been bottom feeders in the division for so long, and we make fun of them each and every year. But they are playing strong basketball so far. Julius Randle is playing very strong basketball. Obi Toppin is playing well. Just the whole team in general is playing very well. And, New York Knicks should be proud of themselves because, with all the hype with the Brooklyn Nets, KD and Kyrie playing together in Brooklyn, and the New York Knicks wouldn't amount to anything, they should be happy and they should be talking crazy to all these people who talk bad about them. They should be ecstatic right now. So let's continue on. Milwaukee Bucks are 6. They're slowly creeping up. They're starting to play a little bit better. They're going to be competitive. They're going to fight for that number 1 seed because they have been the best team in the East the past couple of years. And so it's not going to be any different. Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to play like an MVP like he always does. It's just a brand new team, right? You bring in Drew Holiday. You bring in other pieces to play with Giannis. They still have to figure it out. It's still early. It's only 8 games into the season. They'll be okay. And so the Brooklyn Nets. Now, I thought the Brooklyn Nets would have played a lot better so far in the season, but unfortunately, it hasn't been the case right now. Now, I understand they're still trying to figure out. It's still a brand new team. They still figuring it out. But they'll get it together and they'll compete as well. Right now, it's going to be tough because Kevin Durant is out for a week due to COVID health protocols because I think he came in close contact with somebody with COVID. And then Kyrie Irving just didn't even play their last game. And, Kyrie Irving can't be like that. He can't be like a diva and not play games. It's hard, bro. I mean, I understand if he's going to be safe due to COVID, then by all means do that. But if you just don't want to play the game just to not play the game, then you had some soul searching to do. I just think you just do have to have soul searching going on. So look, I don't know what it is if he's not playing due to COVID or what the problem is, but he's not playing right now. But that team is very, very deep. It's a very deep team. They still have a lot of good players, such as Joe Harris, who had a good game. Jerry Allen, who's still a good quality center, and of course, Karis LeVert. Karis LeVert is a good player, coming off the bench this year, but he's a starter on any other team, so they still have good players. They still have good players to remain competitive in the division. And so let's look at the last team, the Cleveland Cavaliers. You gotta admire what they're doing because Cleveland's been very bad as well, and so they're playing well. Colin Sexton is emerging to be a pretty good player. And also Darius Garland, who's a strong point guard as well. That's a good front court duo they have back there. So they're playing well. They're winning games. They should be excited. Hopefully they can keep this up and, not fall off of the playoff standings as the season goes by. And so yeah, we have to be on the lookout for them. And then so we're going to round out the rest of the division. Atlanta is with the 4-4 record. They have to play a little bit better. I thought they was going to be a playoff team, but right now they're not playing up to their standards. So hopefully they can get that back up. Chicago Bulls with a 4-5 record. The Miami Heat, that's a big shocker because when you win the Eastern Conference and you go to the finals and you play very well in the finals, taking the Lakers to 6 games, you expect them to be competitive. But unfortunately, they have not. They lost a tough game to Brooklyn. I mean, not Brooklyn, excuse me, Boston. From a last-minute putback. And, they have to play a lot better. They're not playing well on the road. They have an 0-2 record. So they have to figure this one out. And then we have the Charlotte Hornets. Unfortunately, that whole team is really not that good. It's a young team. I should say that. They're not good right now because they still have growing pains. It's a very young team. I think they're one of the youngest teams in the NBA, so they still have a lot to figure out. And then we had the Washington Wizards. Everybody thought Washington would be a lot better with Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal, but besides those two guys, the rest of the team is bad. The rest of the team is very bad, and it's kind of showing. They haven't won a home game, which is not cool. And then they're 500 with a 500 winning percentage, 2-2 record on the road. So they have a lot to figure out. And then we had the Toronto Raptors, who is always competitive in the East, not playing well at all, with a 1-6 record. And they had a lot of road games. They had a lot of road games, but unfortunately, they're not winning on the road. And then they're not winning at home either. I mean, they're not at Toronto, which could affect some things, but they have to figure this one out. And then dead last is Detroit, and Detroit hasn't been good in forever, unfortunately. So, yeah, that's Detroit. And so, okay, let's move over to the Western Conference Finals. And it's competitive already. It's very competitive already, which is nuts to really think about. So, the Phoenix Suns, the Chris Paul effect is in full mode right now. With a 6-2 record, they look very well. Chris Paul is playing strong like he always does. Booker Devin Booker is playing like a superstar, like we know he is. DeAndre Ayton is a strong center. And they're playing very well. So let's move on. The Clippers are number 2. Look, we all knew the Clippers were going to be very good in the regular season. And so that's not a surprise to nobody. So the Clippers are a very strong team. And then we have the Lakers. They're both tied, the Clippers and Lakers, but since the Clippers beat the Lakers, they're officially number 2, and the Lakers are officially number 3. So look, the Lakers, they have a lot of things to figure out. I think you can kind of tell this is a very different team from last year. This is not as a strong of defensive team as they were last year. Unfortunately, because when you bring in Marc Gasol, he's really not that athletic, right? He's an older guy. He's not a JaVale McGee or a Dwight Howard type, but he's still a strong contributor. He can do a lot of different things that Dwight and JaVale couldn't do. And then, you still have Anthony Davis. You still have LeBron James, some of the top 2 performers in the NBA. But then you still have the rest of the team, Dennis Schroeder, who's a good point guard. Then you bring in Montrez, Wesley Matthews, the bench. They still have a lot to figure out. This is not as good as a defensive team as they were last year. They're better offensively, but defensively, they still have a lot to figure out. And you can kind of tell with their last game against the San Antonio Spurs. San Antonio Spurs was hot. Oh, my gosh. I don't know how many three-pointers they made. I think it was over 15, but golly, it was on fire last night. And so the Lakers have to figure out, okay, and let's look at this, all right? There's a log jam between 4 and 10, with 4-4 records. Utah Jazz, New Orleans Pelicans, Dallas Mavericks, Portland Trailblazers, excuse me, San Antonio Spurs, Golden State Warriors, and the Sacramento Kings all have 4-4 records. That is crazy. So something has to give. Excuse me. Something has to give, and so it's a lot of going competitiveness in the West. And this always happens. This always happens with the West. It's always 10 teams fighting for playoff positions, and so look, I see the Trailblazers moving up into that into maybe the 4th spot, maybe the Pelicans. I don't know. There's so many good teams in the West. It's kind of hard to really think about it. Then the Mavericks who played a great game last night. Then you have the Warriors who's still competitive, but I don't see them making the playoffs. It just looks so tough on Steph Curry. He looks like he's giving his all, and I think he's going to, get really tired at the end of the season. And the Kings are playing a lot better than I thought, anybody would. And so between 4-7, it's a 4-4 record. So we're going to move on to the 11th seed, which is the Thunder. And you know they're on rebuild mode, but they have a lot of draft picks that to their disposal to make a fast rebuild and, you know, continue to get talent through the draft. And so we move on to the Denver Nuggets, who lost to the Mavericks last night in overtime. We all thought that they would have a better season, especially coming off the Western Conference Finals. We would have thought they would have had a better record. The Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets have not really played well. They did lose a lot of pieces last year, and I think that friction with James Harden and everything is really hurting the team. The Minnesota Timberwolves are 14th in the division. Unfortunately, they had a lot of bad injuries, especially to Karl Anthony Towns, one of their superstars. So that's always going to hurt. And then also rounding out dead last right now is the Memphis Grizzlies. And, you know, when you lose your top player in Ja Morant and you have to find other players to really carry that team, which they really don't have a lot of talent on that team, it's hard. It's hard. And you can kind of see it in their season. So that's going to be the end of the NBA talk. So actually, we're getting ready to segue into our next topic, which is the NFL playoffs. So I have the highlights of the Steelers and Browns. Now, the Steelers and the Browns, that's another divisional game. The Browns haven't made it to the playoffs since 2002. So this is it. They win, they end. If they win, they're in. So this is a big game for the Browns. The Steelers were already in, so they didn't play their stars, so they was like a whatever game, but they still was able to maintain to be competitive. So let's go into the highlights, and we'll be back. It's not too long, so we will be right back.
Give it up. Chubb busting it to the outside. Nick Chubb is still going. He's gone. Touchdown, Browns. 47-yard rip for Nick Chubb. Shifts out of the backfield on first and goal. Mayfield, fake it. Mayfield, toss, wide open. Touchdown, Austin Hooper. The Browns cash in. First and goal, first play of the fourth. Handoff, turning the corner. Jarvis Landry, he's in. Touchdown. Not the traditional way, but the Browns will take that for sure. 4th and 10. Rudolph up top. Adjustment made. Touchdown Claypool. What a talent. Browns up by 8 on the Steelers. Shotgun. Rudolph throws. Caught. Touchdown. Juju Smith-Schuster. Shotgun for Rudolph. Rudolph fires it too high. The Browns defense holds up. So it's Matthew Wright. Bounces it. Oh, that ball was moving.
That got between the legs of Carlson. They'll be fortunate they have it.
Steven Carlson basically tried to sit on it after he couldn't grab it. The Browns claim they've got it. 10 on the clock. Mayfield. Looking for him. He's got it. And it's over. First down. Baker Mayfield. And the clock ticking away. For the first time in 18 years, the Cleveland Browns are going to the playoffs. The drought is over. 24-22 the final.
And that was the highlights to the Steelers and Browns game. So the Browns was able to win and get into the playoffs for the first time since 2002. That is a big deal. That is such a big deal. And so you have to you have to get the Browns some big credit, man. This is a long time coming, and I'm so excited for the Browns fans who year after year supports the team, and now they are in. So you have to be excited. You have to be excited for them. So let's go ahead and talk about the NFL playoffs that is happening tomorrow. And so we have 3 games going on tomorrow and then 3 games going on Sunday. So it's going to be a big week for football. So let's start with our first game, and that is the Colts and the Bills. Now, this is a very good game. This is going to be a very good game. And I see this game as a strength versus strength game because we all know the Colts defense are the strong suit of that team. That's a very strong, one of the top defenses, not if the top defense in the NFL. And so we also have to look at the Bills. The Bills offense is high powered. Stephon Diggs, the top receiver this year, really played very well. And so you have to give them credit. So look, it's going to be a strong strength versus strength game. And so the Bills are at home. Let's see. I'll give them my predictions this week for all of the games. And look, I think this is going to be a very low scoring game, in my opinion. But I think Buffalo is going to go ahead and move on to the next round. And so I'm gonna go ahead and give Buffalo the edge. So let's move on between next game, the Los Angeles Rams versus the Seattle Seahawks, divisional rivals that know each other very well. The Seahawks, who I thought was going to be a number 1 team, they looked like it looked like a strong team in the first half of the season, but kind of faded away. Look, that's going to be a good game. The Los Angeles Rams, who's always have a strong defense, and of course, when you have the number 1 player, defensive player on your team with Aaron Donald, it's hard for them to not be in games because Aaron Donald's always going to cause disruption. But when you have a great mobile quarterback like Russell Wilson, that can kind of defeat that. But look, I'm going to go ahead and give the edge to Seattle. I think Seattle's going to go ahead and beat the Rams. But like each and every divisional game, you really never know what could happen. So it could be a very slim margin that this game is going to have. And you never know, the Rams could pull it out. But I'm going to go ahead and stick with the Seattle Seahawks winning this game. And then our last slate of games is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Washington football team. Now, to be honest with you, I do not see this game going to be very competitive. Washington, of course, wasn't a good team, but that division was very bad. But look, Tom Brady is a leader. Tom Brady has proven year after year after year after year after year. When he gets here, he's become playoff Tom and plays very well. The Buccaneers defense is strong, very strong. And I just don't see Alex Smith doing enough to really get this team ahead. But look, Alex Smith, you have to give him all the applause in the world because he literally, after his gruesome injury, I mean, it was disgusting. I mean, his leg, it was nasty. And, the doctor said he could die. He would never walk again. But now, look, he led to the Washington football team to a playoff spot. And look, win or lose, you have to give Alex Smith his dues because it takes a strong-willed person to do what he did. And so look, But I see the Buccaneers winning big. I think that defense is going to be very strong. I think Tom Brady is going to be Tom Brady, and with that high-powered offense, and so I see them winning the game. So let's move on to our Sunday games, and the first game for that is the Baltimore Ravens and Tennessee Titans. It's going to be a very, very good game, guys. Now, if Baltimore can stop Derrick Henry and not let him go off, and Ryan Tannehill does what he does and play to his standards, it's going to be hard to see the Ravens beating the Tennessee Titans. Now, look, if the Ravens do what they have to do, not letting Derrick Henry get his rushing yards, and if Lamar Jackson can play very well, use his arm and not use his legs as much. If he can do that, if he's throwing the ball and he's running the ball like he normally does well, then I can see the Ravens winning this game. But unfortunately, I'm going to go ahead and give Tennessee the edge because I don't see anybody on the Ravens defense stopping Derrick Henry and not doing whatever he wants to do. So I'm going to go ahead and give Tennessee that game. So let's move on between the New Orleans Saints and the Chicago Bears. And look, I'm going to go ahead and give the Saints this game just because I don't see the Bears offense carrying them to a win. And look, we all know the staple of the Bears is their defense. Their defense keeps them in a lot of games. And with New Orleans' high-powered offense, if New Orleans is scoring left and right, then it's going to be a long night for Chicago because that offense cannot compete. They cannot have a shootout with the New Orleans Saints. So I'm going to go ahead and give the Saints the edge in that game. And so let's move on to our last game, and that is the Steelers versus the Browns. Now, I see this being a very good game. I think Baker Mayfield is going to do everything in his power to win this game, especially against a division rival. You always want to win those games. But look, the Steelers played tough without Ben Roethlisberger, as you've seen in the highlights. As you've seen in the highlights of the game, of the Week 17 game, without Ben Roethlisberger, the Steelers was able to compete. Now, look, the Steelers, even with Ben Roethlisberger, they did not play too well going down to the end of the season. And so, I don't know. It's going to be a strong, low-scoring game. I believe that. I think it's going to be a strong, low-scoring game. And look, I want to say Browns in the upset, but I can't see it. I can't see it. I think Ben Roethlisberger is going to play like the old Ben and have a very good game. And that defense, guys, the Steelers defense is amazing. They're strong. They do not give up many running yards, which is a strong suit of the Cleveland Browns with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. But they do not give up many run yards. And if you have to rely on Baker Mayfield for you to win a game, I would count that out. So I'm going to go ahead and give a Steelers the win, but I think it's going to be a very competitive game. And so, yeah, that basically rounds out the wild card round. And then we're going to move on to the other teams. You know, the Chiefs are waiting right there. And the Packers, the Chiefs and the Packers are the ones with the bye week, and they'll be ready to go for the next week. And so we're going to have to see who they play. So I just want to thank you guys for coming out to the show. I know we had a lot of technical difficulties, but that is okay. That is part of podcasting. So that's how it is. But we are going to get better, and it's only up from here. So, like I said, I want to thank you guys for coming out. If you guys are on Twitch, I'm going to host you guys to Chef. He's currently playing Call of Duty right now, so go over there and tell him hello from me. And so, yes, just give him a hello. And on Facebook and YouTube, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate all the likes, all the shares, just all the love all together each and every week. And I will be back same time, same place, right here, noon to 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And until next week, I'll see you guys. Peace.